Let's face it, homeschooling takes a huge chunk of our time. We do not get to devote the morning to running errands and cleaning the house like we would if our kids were at public school. We are, in fact, doing the opposite. We are taking a big chunk of our time and devoting it to our children, and then we have to fit all the other pieces around it. So, how do I do that? Hey guys, thanks for joining me. Welcome. I am a young homeschooling mom. I have three children. I have a first grader and a kindergartner and a toddler. I'm also a second generation homeschooler, and this channel is everything homeschool. So if you like this kind of content, please subscribe, like this video, comment below, all the stuff. But a couple weeks ago, or maybe further back, over the last few months, I've had one or two of you ask um, for me to share my daily schedule with you guys. How do I manage our day? Not specifically our homeschool, but our day surrounding homeschool. Because let's face it, homeschooling takes a huge chunk of our time. We do not get to devote the morning to running errands and cleaning the house like we would if our kids were at public school. We are, in fact, doing the opposite. We are taking a big chunk of our time and devoting it to our children, and then we have to fit all the other pieces around it. So, how do I do that? So I'm just going to share with you my flow, the way I run my days generally. This is my normal. Sometimes it totally goes off the rails, but this is our average. And what I do may not be for you, but hopefully you can get some ideas, something to try. Um, and I would love to know any comments, any like recommendations you would have for me down below in the comments. If you have some things that you really like as a way of keeping your house in check, as a running your day, let me know those because I'm always open for some new ideas. But what I want to do is just talk you through my schedule. I'm just going to talk through how I do my day. So with that, I generally get up. Well, I set my alarm for about 5:50 in the morning. And before you guys all go, well, that's not me. I'm not a morning person. I'm not a morning person either. This kills me. This is something I give to my children is getting up early. This is probably one of the hardest things about having to homeschool for me is that in order to get some of the things I need to get done before we homeschool, sorry, I have an eyelash in my eye. Um, I have to get up early. And I do have an additional motivating factor in that my husband leaves for work pretty early in the morning. So if I get up on the early side, I do get to see him just briefly before he goes. So that is nice. But I'm guilty. I snooze my alarm at least 3 times in the morning. So I don't get up until a little after 6. It takes me maybe 10 minutes to throw my hair up, put some clothes on, get myself together, presentable for the day. And I don't mean like a full load of makeup and jewelry. I just mean presentable, where if I have to go to the grocery store, I feel okay with myself. When my husband comes home, I'm not a slob. Like just getting yourself together really starts your day in a much better place. I've done it both ways. This is definitely the way to get me going and feel like my day's beginning. And then I come out and I will just sit on the couch where my husband is having some time with the Lord. He reads his Bible, prays, and I will do the same thing. I'll bring my Bible, my journal, and I'll spend 15 minutes or so. It's not a huge, long chunk of time, but a little bit of time in the morning just exclusively devoted to God before I do other things. So I'll pray, journal, read my Bible. And then sometimes I have a few minutes to chat with my husband or to just honestly zone on the couch because I'm pretty tired and still trying to wake up at that point in my day before he goes. And then about the time he leaves, I start breakfast for my children. Well, no, that's not strictly true. I generally have a couple of minutes between him leaving and starting breakfast for them. And in that time, I generally try to make my bed. That's my goal. And if I'm really lucky, maybe empty the dishwasher. But then I make breakfast for my kids. I generally do a big pot of oatmeal with fruit. But they like to eat pretty much as soon as they get up, and they get up at 7, and so I need to start that by 6:45. So then my kids get up and they start eating pretty much right away. And while they eat and do their chore list, which I'll get into in a second, I will generally make myself some food. If I have not emptied the dishwasher, I'll do that then. I will do the dishes, the breakfast dishes, after they're done eating, while they're doing their chores, and I will generally try to get one chore done. Um, what that one chore done means is I tend to divide up my main household chores, sweeping, vacuuming, laundry, bathrooms, those kind of things between my days. Um, so Mondays, I sweep and vacuum and I start the laundry. I have to wash it all, get it all to the dryer point. Tuesdays, I clean my bathrooms and I fold and put away all the laundry. Wednesdays, I dust and I clean my coffee pot. Thursdays, I do a quick sweep of the floor and I meal plan. And yes, I do meal plan. That is one of the ways I keep my weeks more functional. And then Fridays is my day to go shopping or other appointments or errands if I need to squish those in. Okay, bye-bye. So I'll generally try to get one small chore done, whether it's like, if it's Tuesdays, for instance, where I have bathrooms and laundry, I'll try to put some of the laundry away. Or if I have another small chore that I've added on to my day, I'll do that, right? I try to get a little bit of my housework done in that time when they're eating and doing their chores and getting ready for the day. So shifting over to my children, I'm doing that stuff. My children's chores it's pretty small. They have a little chore list. They have to brush their teeth. They have to make their bed. They have to get dressed. And then they each have two small chores. And this, I would encourage you, my children are pretty young, but as your children get older, involve them in the clean. They help make the mess. They can help learn to clean it up. It's not hard for them. It's good practice, good training for them. So my children alternate turns between emptying the silverware in the dishwasher and taking a wet wipe, a baby wipe, and just dusting something in the house. I don't care what, it just helps me keep up with the dust. Or spot mopping the floor. That's something else they might do with that. They take a wet wipe and they clean something that's dirty. I don't care what. So they trade turns between that, and then they each have one more. One of them goes to all the bathroom cupboards and makes sure all the toilet paper is full. The reserve stocks that nobody ever runs out of toilet paper. That's been really nice. And the other one takes a broom and just sweeps under the chairs of just the kids at the table. Just get that, because obviously that's where most of the dirt comes from, underneath their table, right? Where they drop the food. So they just get that spot. And that's their chores for the day. The other things I have my kids help me with while we're on this kind of topic is there's two other things throughout the day or the week that I have them help me with. One is twice a day, generally around nap time and bedtime, they pick up the house. Now, I say they pick up the house because my husband and I don't leave stuff around. I clean up our stuff. But the toys inevitably do not stay in their bedrooms. They come out to the living room. They're colored at the table. Like, stuff goes everywhere. Guys, if you have kids, you know what I'm talking about. They clean that, not me. They, was it around lunchtime or around nap time, I'll be like, okay, clean the house. And they do that. And then hence why the background is actually mostly clean, is because I just did that. And then before bedtime as well. And then the other thing that I have my kids do to help out with the chores, even though they're young, is they fold and put away all of their own laundry and their little brother's laundry. This has been amazing, guys. This is something I've implemented in the last 6 months, and it has been wonderful. Now, their job is not great. Their folding is not finessed. Their shelves are not perfectly organized. And if I open their drawers, it's a little chaotic. But that's okay, because they dress themselves most days. Unless we're going somewhere special, I don't really go into their drawers anyway. So if they're the ones who deal with that, they can do that. And it has been such a blessing having that laundry off my shoulders. So once a week when I'm washing all the laundry, I dump it out on the ottoman in our living room and say, okay, girls, clean up. And they do theirs and their little brothers. And that leaves me with just mine and my husband's, and then like the household linens, towels, that kind of thing. But that alone is such a blessing. So if your kids can fold and put away their own laundry, even if it doesn't look amazing, I would encourage you to do that. That's been such a blessing. Okay. But then, so they've done that. They've done their eating, their chores, their dress, they made their bed, they're ready for the day. I have done the dishes. I have done some small thing around the house to help me get ahead on my chores. I had eaten my breakfast for myself. Maybe if I'm lucky, made myself a cup of tea or coffee. And we are generally ready for our school day. Well, if my kids finish early while I'm still kind of like wrapping up a chore, I will let them play. Or my older daughter has figured out that she can start on her independent work in school. She has a little list of independent work pages that she can do on her own. So she generally starts those in advance so that she has a longer break mid-school day when I'm working with her younger sister. But then we're ready to start school. I shoot for starting school between 8 and 8:30. Now, I say that. I shoot for starting school between 8 and 30. My goal is 8. We don't generally hit 8, so 8:30 gives us a little slop. And generally, our school chunk is from bat time, 8 or 8:30, to lunchtime. It really depends on the day as to how much time it takes. I'm working with one, I'm working with the other. They both have breaks in between. I don't have a break in between, but they do. And generally, we can get most of our school done. Occasionally, we have something left over, which we'll do after lunch. But most days, we can complete what I wanted to do. So then when we're done with that, we generally take a chunk of time around the lunch break where I'll get them lunch. They play. Their little brother's up and running around, so he plays with them. And that's great. That's their time to enjoy, run around. Generally, if I have some small things to do on my to-do list, I'll try to do those. Meal plan, maybe something like that. And then after lunch, I do the dishes. I really try to keep on top of the dishes as much as possible because I feel like part of it's just not getting behind with your workload, right? And then around 1 o'clock, my youngest one goes down for a nap, and he generally is down for about 3 hours. So that is a good chunk of time. So if we have not completed all our school, some read alouds or history or something like that, I'll do that with my older 2 children at that point. And then I try to do whatever remaining chores I have assigned for the day, right? If it's my day from bathrooms, I can't generally do bathrooms with all my kids running around because inevitably they need me when my hands are dirty in the toilet, and that just doesn't work. Or sweeping when they're all running through the dust piles, like those kind of things. It's just hard to do. So I generally, after we've done our school, I take half hour to do my chore. Sometimes not even that long, just depending on what it is. But my big chore for the day gets done then. And then my older 2 will have a quiet time. And what this means is they can read or they can color. Those are generally the two things I allow. They're not to do it together. It's to be by themselves. And if you can hear the things hitting the wall, I'm sorry, my kids are playing in the next room. They're being very quiet, trying to be, but the stuff is hitting. So sorry if that's noisy. But they have their hour of quiet time. And I will just pick a time at some point when I'm done with my chores. I'm like, okay, kids, this is it. We're going to do our hour of quiet time. They sit and read, they color, and I have an hour to do whatever I want. Often that's recording a video for you guys. Sometimes that's just watching YouTube or reading a book. I have a ton of books I'm kind of reading: parenting, homeschooling, theological, devotional, Bible study, you name it. So I'll do that. Or maybe I'll just I can't take a nap anymore because they're up and I don't nap for a while. But that kind of thing. It's just me time. It's me time to do whatever I want, whether that's something productive like a YouTube video or something totally unproductive like watching YouTube. That's my time. And it's really nice to have that time. Having that time where I don't feel guilty for doing whatever I want to do is really good. That's really good. But then after that hour, my kids get to play. They have to play quietly still because generally the younger brother is still sleeping, but they get to play again, maybe go outside. And if I have anything left to do, then I'll go ahead and check those things off my list. And then, generally shortly after 4 or so, I start dinner. I have a meal plan, so I've already thawed the meat. Normally the day before, I pull out the meat for the following meal. And I can shift my meal plan around a little bit if I need to, but having that has really helped. I just kind of have an idea of when I need to start dinner because I know what I'm making, and I don't have to. The process of figuring out meals is probably the most exhausting part of meal planning for me. So we do that. My husband comes home between 4:30 and 6, just depending on the day. So he gets home and we have dinner. We do a devotional with the kids. We hang out. We play games. We do a project together. But generally, my goal is that I'm not doing housework when my husband comes home. That by the time he's home, I've done most of the things that I've assigned for myself. Occasionally, there's something small that needs to be done, or there's something I was waiting for him to do with me. School. Prepping for school and stuff like that, I try to do that on the weekends. I have just a slot of time for an hour or so on Saturday that I just get everything ready for the next week. And I really try to make it so that I'm not doing all my stuff in the evening when he's home. It's good time for the kids to have with him. It's good time for me to have with him. And I really try to get that done. So that's kind of a rough day. That's kind of the way my days look. But I do have something that helps me keep on track with this. So I have created this PDF schedule. And if you're interested in a copy of this, I'm happy to share it with you. Comment below if you would like a copy. But essentially what it is we have just rough time chunks. And honestly, these are probably not accurate for me anymore. I don't really use them that much. They're just a rough idea of what quarter of the day. But we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday checklist here because if you're like me, I love checklists. It just makes me feel like I'm accomplishing something. And this is kind of the flow of my day, right? I get up and I do my teeth and hair or get dressed or whatever, have my time with the Lord. The kids get up, they eat, they get dressed. We all have breakfast. We all make our beds, yada, yada, throughout the day. And this is just kind of a rough flow. I don't really need this at this point. But like I said, having a checklist and I get to check it off. And it also help me see where I'm at. I had, a spot in the morning where, cleaning, or down here is my miscellaneous task or cleaning job, my chore for the day, whatever, my main chore, I guess. And then on the side here is my meal plan. So I write out my meal plan when I shop so I know what to shop for. But then I also see it during the day when I'm looking at my list. I kind of just have that right there. If I have extra chores that I know need to be done, but they're not in my normal flow, I put them here to keep them in my mind's eye. And then this part down here is probably the most helpful for me. This is my just week. So we Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday. I don't plan much into those days because it's our weekend. And normally if it's like, a birthday or a holiday, I'll put that on there. And then I'll put any appointments we have in bold. If I have a doctor's appointment, if we have a Bible study that evening, just anything that's happening will be in bold. And then below it is all my to-do list. And I put my chore for the week, so if Mondays I have sweeping and vacuuming laundry, those go here. Tuesday's bathroom, I put the chore for the week. And then I do that generally on my computer. I just, create it, put the chores for the week that I know are going to be there and then print it out. And then during the week, as I have something that I'm like, the stove really needs to be cleaned, I'll look at my calendar or my schedule. I'll go, well, I have stuff going on. I have an appointment this day, but Thursday I'm home and I don't have much going on, and I'll put it in there. Right. And so I by doing a daily chore where I have my main chores assigned, I keep up on the general, right? The bathrooms always get done once a week. The short floors get swept twice a week. These things always get kept up on. And then the extras like cleaning the stove or wiping down the counters, a deep wipe, not just what you do with dishes, or, I need to mop the floor, something that's just not needing to be done every single week. And don't judge me if you do those things every single week. Those I will assign as I see how my days are flowing. And if I've got a day that's a little more empty or I think I could fit it in, I'll kind of put it on there. This is also a reminder of like, oh, I gotta, I don't want to forget that I need to throw something on early for dinner. So, I'll put that, prep dinner. So it's a mental reminder. And generally, by the time my day is done, this whole thing is filled with to dos. Some of them pretty short and easy, some of them full time jobs, but it just helps me as I have those chunks of time where I do a chore. Where I'm looking for that, if the kids are still eating breakfast and I've gotten my other stuff done and I have a couple minutes, I can look at that and go, oh, I wanted to do this today as well. That's pretty small. I could do that. And that really, really helps me stay on top of it. Really, so much more than it did. That has helped things be not so chaotic for me. Like I said, I'm happy to share that with you. Comment below if you would like that. Okay, and so two more things that kind of just help my rhythm is I try to do my shopping on the same day every week. And I generally also try to do my, like, doctor's appointments or any other appointments that are, like, I have to get out of the house and go do well, not all appointments, not like meeting up with another mom, but, like, doctor appointments type things on, the same day of the week. And the reason I do that is because my husband has one day that he gets to work from home during the week. So I generally try to do that when my youngest one is napping and he's home and he can hear it if there's any problems coming up. My older two are old enough that they can be quiet and color while I'm gone, or maybe I could take them with me. Um, and so that's why I get to do those. Those days that give me like 2 or 3 hour chunk of time where I get to go out and run some errands and just or have an appointment or what I need to do. If I have an appointment on the day when I normally shop or I just can't get out of the house for some reason, then often we'll go as a family either in the evening or on the weekend. Um, I try not to do that a whole lot because I don't want to use my husband's, his weekend time shopping. But sometimes that's just what has to happen. With little kids, it's just hard for me to take a whole parcel with me. As they get older, that will get easier. And we're kind of transitioning to that stage with my older ones, but up until now, it's been just a challenge because they're all close in age, and it's just been too much for me to handle and be productive at the same time. Okay, the last thing that I have done that has allowed me some wiggle room within the week is when I plan my school out, I generally account for one light day. We homeschool 5 days a week, and generally I shoot for Friday as being the light day because it's the end of the week. We're wrapping things up. It just makes it easier. But my curriculum really naturally does this well for me because our math is only scheduled 4 days a week, according to the way it's supposed to be done, as is our Bible curriculum. And those are two of our longer subjects during the day. So generally, I don't schedule either of those Friday and that makes Friday a much shorter day than the rest of the week. So that's great, right? But the reason this is really nice is because, well, now we're starting an every other week co op, right? So every other week we're going to be going somewhere at 11. Now I can get a lot of our school done by then. Maybe I can get most of it done, but probably not all of it. So if I know that this is a co op week, I'll swap Friday and Tuesday's workloads, right? I'll be like, okay, well, then math and Bible, we're going to take those off Tuesday, put those on Friday, and now my light day is Tuesday so that we can get everything done before we have to go. Or if I'm going to meet up with another mom and it's going to be like late morning, generally I'm going to try and schedule those things in the afternoon or a time that's more convenient for me. But if something comes up and you're going to have to do something in the morning, or it's going to be a tight day, if you're going to be rushed because you have to get out to an appointment, at noon, and normally your homeschool doesn't finish till noon, having that light day scheduled in so that I can move it around when I know I need to really, really helps. And then when I don't need to, we just have a light Friday, and it's really nice to wrap up the week in a lighter manner. But that has been a real blessing for me as well. So I think that's all. That's just kind of the run of my day. That's how I make it work for me. And I feel like it's pretty smooth at this point. We're still wrapping up the details of my homeschool day and how we're like running that. I feel like we're still juggling. We're getting really close. I feel like things are kind of smoothing out for us. But we have had to drop some things and shift some other things. I did a whole video on that. I think actually my last video was sharing just the things we had to rearrange. So if you're interested in seeing that, I'll link that below if you want to see like what we've been changing in our school. But as far as my day outside of our school day, it's pretty much the same as it was last year. I have a little less time because our school day takes a little longer, so I have to be more intentional with my time. But the main flow is about the same. In the same way that I organize, plan meals, do all of that is the same. I do try to plan my meals and make my shopping list the day before I shop because I don't want to be spending my morning doing that when I'm supposed to be homeschooling. And then when I finally get that chunk of time to go shop, I want to be ready to go. I don't want to have to sit and then do that. So I try to do that in advance. But yeah, I don't know. I hope that was helpful. I hope it gives you some ideas. If you have any questions for me on any of it, please let me know. Again, if you want to see or a copy of that schedule, I can share a PDF with you. And I would love to know any tips or tricks that you have for keeping your day on track.